Hello and welcome to the next episode of Cylinder Radio. It's been about a month since I released one, kind of regular craziness. But I'm back now and doing one that's personal for a couple of reasons. One is because I'm doing it with someone that I know personally, but also because of the topic, which is California. It's obviously in the news a lot. It's a great state. I moved across the country to be here from Pennsylvania. And the person I have to talk about California isn't a politician or anything like that. He is a dog. No, I'm just joking. He is an MMA fighter. So he is a veteran of a bunch of different organizations, including Bellator. He was King of the Cage champion, and now he's a business owner. So going from the ring and the cage to the business owner side of it, I think gives him a lot of perspective. And when we're going to talk about California and even talk ill of California, I think that it's important to have someone who knows it well. I'm an American history teacher, and I talk about a lot of bad things about America, but I love America. I was in the pool day with my kids, and I had a red, white, and blue American flag swimsuit on. And my guest has California tattooed on his body. So my guest is Thor Skancke. Thor, good to see you, man. It's been a long time. We've known each other for like 10 years from back in the jiu-jitsu days. And it's good to see you. Is your real name Thor? I don't think I've ever asked.
Yeah, my mom's Norwegian. She immigrated here from Norway back in the 70s. My dad immigrated here from Iran, escaping from the madness that was going over there. And they came to this beautiful country, which we are blessed to live in, to take part in this experiment, which has just progressed the whole world. Right?
How Republican of you.
God bless America. I love this country, man. I love this country. I love all the opportunities it's afforded me. Sure, we have problems. You'd be hard pressed to find a place in the world that doesn't have problems. But I mean, God damn it. If the flag is a controversial, subject, I don't understand. Also, sorry, my dog is tripping. But yeah, I mean, like if the flag is like a controversial thing now, if we can't even agree that we like this country, I'm worried about the future. But yeah, lived in California my whole life, Los Angeles, San Fernando Valley, North Los Angeles, been here my whole life. Just trying to take part in the American dream. I didn't really want to go the formal college route. I kind of wanted to be my own boss. And in this country, at least it used to seem that way. If you have a passion, if you have a drive, if you have a product that people want to buy, then you can open a business and you can, feed yourself and your family doing what you love. That's the American dream to me. And it seemed like it's been working out pretty good for a while. And then it just, I don't know, lately I just feel like it's kind of just gone off the rails a little bit, and I feel like this election coming up is really, really important,
Yeah, I do too. And I want to get into that. For the people following along at home, in about 70 episodes, I've had a bunch of martial artists on. I've had Zach Maslany talk about teaching. I've had Matt Thornton talk about violence, the guy who started, so Zach Maslany from 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu. Matt Thornton started SBG gyms. I had Kenny Florian on, the super stud fighter from back in the day, and now you, Thor. I think what it is fighters are they don't have a lot of tolerance for bullshit, and so it's nice because you speak what you see and stuff like that, because it takes obviously courage to do what you guys do and have done. That's probably part of the reason why I bring you guys on here. So you now are a business owner. You run a gym.
Absolutely.
Okay. What have you learned? Because I guess to get into it is, my wife is Filipino immigrant, came here, hustled small business, family and everything like that. And I didn't know what that was like until I married into the family. Did you know what you were getting yourself into when you started a business in California?
You know what? So there's a couple things, this is always what I wanted to do. right? I've always wanted to be a gym owner. I've always been involved with gyms. I've always been in the gym, you know, like I've had other jobs, you know, I've had every job, to be honest with you. Like, you know, I was painting houses at age 16, dropped out of high school to paint houses, you know. Then I was in the construction, and I was doing concrete, and then I demolition, and then I was a loan officer for a while, and I watched that whole housing collapse and stuff. I was actually a little part of it, to be honest with you. I got to see that. I've done everything, but I've always, when I got into mixed martial arts, I realized like that's all I want to do. You know, the minute I walked through those doors, I said to the first gym I got into, and I realized I wanted to be a gym owner. I wanted to eat, sleep, breathe mixed martial arts. And, you know, if I'm not fighting, I want to be training. And when I can't train, you know, anymore, I want to teach. So I always knew I was going to do it. And I knew I would put up with any bullshit to do it. Like when I was a kid, you know, I didn't have money to really train. I would clean the gym. You know, I'd be the guy who would mop the floor, or I'd find find a friend that would want to sign up, and I'd get a free month because of that. So I couldn't afford it, but I never let anything stop me, you know? I gotta say, like, doing business in California, I've never done business anywhere else. So I take whatever I say with a grain of salt. I'm not some, you know, crazy business entrepreneur. I'm not hashtag entrepreneur guy. You know, I'm not rich by any stretch of the imagination. You know, everything I tell you, by the way, is anecdotal evidence. And anecdotal, it's just, I mean, I love these podcasts, but realistically, if you want to make sound decisions, look the data up yourself. Yeah. Look the statistics up yourself. Don't just listen to a guy who's like, yeah, man, you know, things are tough. And that means the whole world is tough because things are tough for me, or things are great. That means the whole world is great, right? That's what I see a lot of people kind of go off of, you know. My cousin, this happened to him, so this must be the truth. But I will tell you, you know, doing business in California is rough for, as far as my business, right? What do I provide? I provide a service, right? I provide, people want to come, they want to get in shape, they want someone to kind of, you know, take them through the routes of the routines of a fighter. Not necessarily, you don't need to necessarily jump in the octagon and fight or anything like that, but they want to put you in the, you know, the same workout. And, you know, because our body is a byproduct of what we do, right? So, you know, like a fighter's body is a product of his training, you know, and just like a runner or a swimmer, right? So, you know, I provide that service. And there's a lot of kids that I have that work for me, right? But the thing is, you know, it's not a 9-to-5 job. You don't show up, you know, check in, and then sit here and work for 8-9 hours. No, realistically, people come to the gym before 9 and after 5, right? And then there's a big space in between where like nothing happens, right? That's my kind of gym. It's not a 24-hour fitness, you know. And you know, it's a small business. I'm the front desk. I'm the janitor. I'm the trainer. I'm, you know, all that stuff. But then there are kids, they want to come in, they want to teach, and they're talented. I have some good fighters, man. I got some good kids, amateur fighters, you know, pro fighters. They come, they train people. And they work like 1 hour a week, 2 hours a week, right? But for them to do business in California, now I got to make these W-2, right? This is different than anywhere else. And you see what happened with Uber. It's kind of very similar, what's going on with Uber. And, you know, they're trying to say that Uber is some kind of slave driving corporate monstrosity that just, you know, they don't want to give people dude, a lot of these people drive for like 3 hours a day. It's a side hustle. You know what I mean? You're taking away our means to have these side hustles, right? A lot of the kids that teach out of my gym, they have other shit going on. They can't work for more than 1 hour a day. You know, they're doing this, they're going to school, they're writing, right? You know, they're doing their works. Then they you know, they have a lot of stuff going on, but they would like to have that little bit of income that I can provide them, or I could provide them. Now I can't. Now I'm the only person working there. You know, I mean, it's fucked up. Sorry, it's messed up.
No, you can say it. Like, well, just for people who don't know what you're talking about, there was a law that was passed just this past year, I believe, for independent contractors. So if you are an independent contractor, like so you just get hired for a job essentially. Then you can design your own hours and all that kind of stuff. And they made it so you can't be independent contractors in a lot of these situations, that if you hire somebody, they have to become a full-fledged employee, which means, you know, to pay benefits if they need to and all that kind of stuff. And it sounds good because with a contractor, you don't have to pay benefits and stuff like that. So California, like most things in California, they sound good. They're probably even well-meaning to some degree, but the way it works out is not what was intended. Is that what your experience is?
Absolutely. Well, that's my experience with most politicians that I've seen since Pete Wilson in California. I think Pete Wilson was the best governor we've ever had. He got the state up and running 40 days after that calamity of an earthquake. We're up and running. Can you imagine what would happen if there was that magnitude of an earthquake today? We got Newsome and Mariota Vance, and it would be a tragedy. But Wilson did a lot of things that were great. I mean, when he took office, we were basically in a recession, the worst that we've ever seen. Yeah. And when he left office, we had a $17 billion surplus, right? And it's been basically, the state's been being run into the ground since him. But the thing that he did, right, is that he passed he tried to pass Proposition 187, which was basically, taking certain rights away from illegal immigrants, right, or not letting them partake in certain things that citizens can, right? And basically that ruined his career, So now people want to do more things that are, in my opinion, politicians are more about virtue signaling than actually like the meat and potatoes of, we got to run this state properly, right? We got to be a little bit more fiscally conservative, and it's all about virtue signal, do things that sound good on paper, that look good on paper, sound good to the ear, but we don't need that. We don't need a politician that's the cool dad that smokes weed with his kid. I need the dad that's like, let me, lay the law down. Like we were the 5th biggest economy in the world. I mean, this is California, bro. This is the best place in the world to live. Yeah. I mean, what's going on? We're having a mass exodus of people leaving this state, right? And they're taking their dollars with them. These are job creators, right? I have friends, that are job creators, and they're like, I don't know why I'm still here. I have a friend, he has a warehouse, right? All he does is, I don't want to like drop names or anything like that. The guy's pretty well off, and the way that his business is run, he can run it anywhere, just get a warehouse, fill it up with stuff, whatever. There's no incentive to be in this state besides the weather and the, it used to be a beautiful place. I mean, and that's getting worse too, So, I mean, I just really think, I don't mind taxes. I don't mind them. Like taxes, if they're
right. Yeah, you give your mind to someone if they're going to spend it wisely, but if they're not, then you're a fool. And that seems to be, when you're talking about the mass exodus, is like, Joe Rogan's the big one, Elon Musk, but also what I found during COVID is, because my wife's salon had to get shut down, is she started moving to online products. And so now she knows a lot of people who are like online business coaches and stuff like that. And a lot of them now, their whole business is online, and they're living in Santa Monica. They're going, wait, it's online. I can go anywhere. Why would I be in Santa Monica? And they're out. And these are people generating millions of dollars, all leaving, just like you said. And
the alarming thing about this, I don't understand how it works. Maybe you probably know more about this than I do. This is something I'd like to ask you about anyway.
Yeah.
So California seems to have the ability to overreach its boundaries as far as these people that are leaving are going to get taxed retroactively. Like the California, the franchise tax board that they have, they can go after you. I mean, that's what they're doing. They're going after people that used to live here because they're already planning. They're seeing this mass exodus. I mean, like, just look at the statistics. Don't listen to my anecdotal evidence of, I know a guy that wants to leave, like people are leaving, and not just Elon Musk, not just Joe Rogan, man. It's like a lot of people are going, and the FTB, these guys are brutal. I mean, you'd rather get involved with the IRS any day than these guys. If these guys will go after you, it doesn't matter where you go in the country. If you're in Arizona, they're going to go after you, and they're going to make you pay those California taxes for 10 years. And it's very hard to prove that you're not a resident, you're not making your money off California, or even if you come to California just to like do some business. Right now, it's pretty crazy what's going on. I don't know if you've been following any of this stuff. And go ahead.
No, a bit. I mean, it's it's not sustainable. At the end of the day, it's not sustainable. And, we might have, foreign, people coming in and buying property and stuff like that who have a ton of money paying, cash for houses in Beverly Hills and stuff. But I know people who are actually Persian in Beverly Hills who are it reminds them of the revolution that they had in Iran. And they're going, oh, I've seen this before. This is freaking me out. I'm going to keep my eyes open. If I need to, I'm bouncing out of the States.
Exactly. I mean, there's a strange parallel there, because this is basically a new religion that I'm seeing, So,
like
Islamic
you're talking about like the wokeness and stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The cancel culture, there's this almost religious dogma that's coming out of it. I mean, my family escaped from the Islamic radicals, and came here, and they're Muslims, It's not like they weren't, Islamic, but I mean, like, there's a difference between being Islamic and Islamic radical. Just like there's a difference between me. I was a liberal. I considered myself a liberal. Same. Very liberal in my value. Love is love. Don't judge anybody by the color of their skin. I went to public schools all my life. I don't, I'm not, I used to look at the right kind of like, oh, those guys are, a little backwards,
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way, but now I'm kind of looking at it like they're the only ones that are actually, look, it's a true liberal, okay, is someone that says, I might not like what you say, but I'll fight and die for your ability to say it, right? That's an ideal that I live on. That's a true liberal to me, So, I mean, once you take away this whole thing where, like, they're basically, they can't attack your facts, they can't attack so they attack your character. They come out here and they want to basically drag you down, and because you don't think like this, it must be this. And I run into it all the time. And this has pushed me very far right, to be honest with you. Like, it's most of these woke liberal saviors, that they're
well, that's my world, man. I'm deep in this stuff for the past like 3 years. I mean, I've had James Lindsay on the podcast and Peter Boghossian, and I mean, it's a real problem. And it's again, here's the thing: if it is a religion, which John McWhorter, brilliant Columbia professor, is finishing up his book now about how anti-racism is a religion. We have freedom of religion, so that's fine. But when you make policies based on a religion, that is unconstitutional and wrong. And that's what we're talking about here. That's what California would be doing and has been doing, instituting it in schools and elsewhere, is this religion that is not, it's unfalsifiable. It's just, it is what it is because I feel it to be true, just the same way that you might feel with Christianity. And then putting that into policy, that's the problem. I don't have a problem with wokeness if you're not pushing it on me. The same way I don't have a problem with any religion if you're not pushing it on me and forcing me to comply with it. And that's, I think, the issue that isn't discussed as much about it.
Yeah, I mean, there's one side of the aisle that's willing to sit down and debate you with logic and reason, and and hey, they might be flawed in their logic. That's what debate is, and we expose the flawed logic by healthy debate. Yeah. And then there's another side of the aisle that wants to shout over you, ban you from coming to speak, do whatever they can to keep you from being heard. Plug their ears and yell. How does that benefit anybody? How does that benefit anything? How does that move society forward, right? They wrote the book, they wrote the manual, and they stamped it closed, and that's it. There's nothing to listen to, but they call themselves progressive. There is no progress without discourse, without speaking. There's no progress. It's not progressive at all. They have completely, they're the same as those radical mullahs in Iran that just, it's the same thing. To me, it's the same. It's, and when it's hurtful because I have family members, I have people that I consider really close friends that just the hatred is palpable. You feel it, they're so angry right now. Everybody's so angry. They hate Trump so much.
It's been fed though. It's been fed. Like it's we shouldn't be like, oh, how do we get here? It's been happening here. Something Pia Milani, I think, is Eric Weinstein's wife, and she had this concept that was really brilliant. It was the Democrat Party used to be the Labor Party. It used to be the party for the marginalized, the people who didn't have a say. We would be your say. But when you are the representative of the working class, you have to do stuff. You have to like get them better working hours, and you have to like, you know, make sure that they're okay. So what the Democrats did is they found something that's even cheaper than standing up for workers, which is identity. Yeah. And now all you got to do is say, I love you, marginalized person. And that's it. That's it. You have my vote. It's like, and the people who are supporting a lot of these very like woke politicians, they just go to, well, they represent me. They say the right things. They say, and it doesn't matter what their policies really achieve. It's just about how does it look? It looks like they care, so I'm voting for them, which is so dangerous because then you get the real, you know, snake oil salesmen going in there, the slick people who, oh, I care about you, you poor marginalized person. And then they don't. They clearly don't. Look at their record. We have Kamala Harris, who was, you know, Attorney General in California, locking up people for pot, blocking evidence for people on death row and stuff. But now, because she's a black woman, it's the identity.
I'm so happy Biden chose her. I'm so happy. You know, I got to say another way that this is very close. Look, I'm a Christian, you know, I have my Christian beliefs. I would never, ever, but my judgment ends at my nose. That's it. It doesn't go any farther than that. You know, like my values end right here. Live your life the way you want. You know, it's not my job to judge, right? I believe someone else does the judging, and, you know, I don't want that job. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to tell you something. This is very similar to religion because it's a very cheap way for some people to feel like a good person, right? A lot of religious people, they are not good people, but they feel like a good person because they read the Bible, they go to church, they, you know. Same thing with these woke ass people, man. You are not a good person. Like a lot of these people I talk to, I'm like, I know you, bro. I know you, you know, over here, and like, you know, and they're just one-upping each other, man. They're just one-upping. It's crazy, you know. Like we need border reform, and then the next guy will come in, oh, you think we need borders? And then the next guy will come in like, you know, like, oh, why don't we just, it's crazy how they one up each other and stuff, and just to feel like they're good people, you know, it's insane. And it's not backed by any logic. And it's like, they're emboldening each other, you know, by, oh, this is my idea. How can I get woker than this guy? And then the next wokeness, you know. I heard that, I watched a video, and there was dudes there, and this is the quiet part out loud, but there was some dudes in a neighborhood there. He's saying, give us your house. Yeah. Right. You know, give us your house. Like, you know,
like reparations.
Where does this end? You know?
Yeah. Well, it's also not helping the groups that you think that you want to help. And that's why I push back a lot, because it comes off. Yeah. It's like a moral superiority. The people who actually hate Trump, it's like a theory that I kind of adopted in different places, but I think the people that hate Trump the most are high watt brains, very intellectually smart, like high IQ type people who don't have a lot of real world success. Because what kind of system would allow someone like Donald Trump to rise to become a billionaire president where I did everything right and I can't? And so what can I beat him on? Moral superiority. So I am the more moral person. And I think that because I try to live my life in a way that is, I try very hard to challenge myself to be a moral person. I am fine taking on these woke people. People are like, wow, you really go after these woke people. It's like, I'm not, I don't believe you that you're more moral than me. Like, show me your life. Show me how you live. The James Baldwin quote, right? Like, don't tell me, just show me. And there's not much to show, you know, like it's how you live your life. And that is, going back to California, that is taking over on top of already some real issues. I tried to, so here's like an example of how policies don't actually get what you want. Okay, so my wife had us before COVID, you know, has a salon, and we paid a valet parking service to park the cars. Okay. The parking guy who parked it, Jose, he's a good guy. And he was like, hey man, I hate this job. The boss sucks, everything. I think I'm going to leave. I was like, oh, leave. This is a perfect opportunity. Here's what I'm going to do. Save us money. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start a valet company. I'm going to start a valet company, and I'm going to hire 2 immigrants that we know, our family knows, one Filipino, one Mexican immigrant, who are, you know, trying to make ends meet. And I'm going to hire them and pay them well. We're not trying to make money, just try to save money. And I'm going to start a valet company. I called it I Love Valet. Like, I love valet. Went through the whole process. I opened up the bank account and everything like that. And then I found out that I needed a special parking permit. So I had to go downtown LA on the 2nd or 4th or 2nd or 3rd, whatever, Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. So thank God it was summer and I could have done it, and I did it. Went down there. It was a 3-hour class about what you need to do to become a parking company. And I was sitting through that, and they went through, I have a booklet, I have a whole like binder of what you have to do, the hoops you have to jump through. You would not, I thought I was getting like,
no.
I thought it was a joke. It's like, you have to get 8.5 by 11 color of the entrance to the parking lot and the exit. You need the picture of the uniform in color. You need insurance, 3 different kinds of insurance. You need to pay the parking occupancy tax, which is 10% of your gross quarterly. Like, and I crunch the numbers and I go, I can't do it. I can't do it.
How?
And so these immigrants didn't get a job. Long story short.
How is that for the people? Like, this is another thing too. Right. I'm like, and people vote for this shit. It's crazy. You know, like, imagine a world, right, where you have an idea and you can make that idea happen and it can bring you lots of wealth, right? And you're a person, maybe you don't have a lot of means. You know what it took for me to be able to open this gym? I went through so much to do it, man. And it was crazy, you know, like, I like, and it's still, like a bunch of good things happen, and I was at the right time, at the right place. And now I'm a gym owner. Yeah. You know, otherwise I don't have the capital for anything, you know? And it's right in the right place at the right time. But these regulations, the only people who can afford to do anything are millionaires. Yes. Right. And if you're not a millionaire, then you're going to need to get a loan from a millionaire, and he's going to make money anyway. And that's the way that this is set up. You know, this is not for the people. These regulations are not for the people. And anytime you have a right-wing person talk about cutting regulations, for some reason, like, the media is able to drop this narrative that, like, he wants to, like, make it so that, you know, bald eagles are falling from the sky because of pollution. Like, no, we're not talking about that kind of there's books and books and books of regulation that are basically doing nothing but keeping a foot on the neck of poor people. Yes. The regulations for the people, for Amazon, I'm all for it. You know, how are we not regulating Facebook right now? They can just shut down your account and you're gone. Like, but they're regulating is small gym owners. Yeah. Yeah. This is California. You know, this is California. But the beautiful thing about this country, you know, which is, you know, we need to keep that electoral college. That's the thing I'm really scared about, you know, losing the electoral college. So if you don't like it, you can leave. Not every place is blue. You know, we got red states too. And you can look at the way that people are living in other states and see, like, you know, see people leaving and making more money. And hopefully people in California will look at that and say, wait a minute, they have a little bit less regulation than us, and their place isn't on fire. In fact, actually places like Wyoming, places like Texas, but, you know, they're thriving. They're doing really well, you know. But then you look at California, right? You know, I watched this place decline in real time. That's why I wanted to talk to you, by the way, like just about homelessness and stuff like that. Can you just, outside of my window, yeah, you know, you grew up on these streets. I grew up on these streets, man. And, like, you know, here's the thing, you know, it wasn't always beautiful, you know, pristine, but the things I'm seeing now, and the change has happened so fast. And when I say in real time, what I mean is, so, you know, I'm in a privileged position to work with a lot of law enforcement people, district attorneys, things like that, like helping them with their fitness and stuff. And, you know, they were telling me, you know, hey, there's these propositions coming up. Do not vote for these propositions. 47, 57, AB 109, they're going to destroy the city, you know? And I'm like, what? You know, and I read them and they look innocuous. You know, they don't look very, they don't look bad, you know, like they're okay, you know, whatever. Hold on, I want to go back to that, but just let me just explain for the audience. Like, the propositions, California is run on a referendum. So instead of voting your representatives to make decisions, you can vote directly for things. And the way that they are framed is stuff like, do you want to support public schools? Do you want to, you know, add bonds for this? But what that is, well, we have to get that money from somewhere. It's raising taxes. But they ask, exactly. Do you want a bullet train? Do you want bigger cages for chickens? Do you want the gas tax? We voted
we voted for a gas tax. And I talked to someone who's from Santa Monica, and she and her husband have Teslas. And she's like, well, I just want to try and disincentivize people from, from carbon emissions. I was like, what about the Mexican landscaper who has a work truck?
Like, they don't care about that. That's the thing.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, I'm cutting you off.
No, go.
No, but I hate that. Like, that's, so, I got family members that are like, driving Priuses and stuff. Like, doesn't affect me, but it's like, you're, like, honestly, from my perspective, looking at it, like, I can afford gas. I'm in a privileged position where I can afford gas and made some right moves in my life, But I mean, it's ridiculous. I don't want to spend that much for gas. Why spend that much for gas, right? I don't want to go and buy an electric car right now, but I mean, if they don't see this as a tax on the poor, they can just raise tax, by the way. They raise registration to a crazy amount, license fees. Have you been to traffic court before?
No, knock on wood, no.
So when you go to traffic court, right, I got a bit of a lead foot. I've been to traffic court a few times. When you go to traffic court, most of the time, you're going to see this. Okay, Mr. Garcia kind of comes in, interpreter, sits here driving out registration. Can you explain? I couldn't afford it. I'm sorry, whatever. Next thing you know, okay, well, you can pay this much, or you can do basically labor, which is basically slave labor for Caltrans. Which one do you want to do? Oh, I'll do the Caltrans. Okay, the guy does Caltrans. Boom, next one. Most of these people cannot afford registration.
Yeah.
Right? So what they're doing is they're taxing the poor. It's not the rich people that you see in there. Rich people you see for some stuff. Rich people, though, their lawyer shows up. You go, walks right in there. Guy's in there for speeding. Is like, okay, boom, 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 case dismissed, whatever. But there is a whole bunch of people that are like slaves. They're in there. They're doing the Caltrans, which is, I mean, if you don't know what Caltrans is, it's those guys in the orange vests you see cleaning up shit on the road. Okay, that's them, right? And I've done Caltrans before. I'm gonna tell you something. It's hot. Yeah. It sucks, and they give you a lot of hours. A lot of hours, dude. It's a lot of hours, bro. It's not, I see all these celebrities that do some dumb shit, and they're like, oh, you got 100 hours of community service. That's not a traffic ticket.
Look, it should be for people who are criminals, who are doing bad things. It should not be. That's like the whole thing about like high bail rates and stuff like that. Like, now you're getting poor, just take a step back. You're taking poor, marginalized, often minority individuals and forcing them to work for free. Absolutely. Because they can't afford registration so they can go get a job. They want to work. And this is what happened over and over and over again. One of the first episodes I did of this podcast was Going Green about the garbage pickup scandals here in LA, where they gave exclusive contracts to certain garbage companies. My 76-year-old father-in-law, who runs a tool shop in North Hollywood, was told, hey, how much is your garbage pickup? And he said, whatever it is, $150. They go, oh, well, now it's $450. He's like, what? Like, I can't afford that. They're like, well, deal with it. And they hung up on him. Like, then just have your garbage collect. Like, it's like, it's really, really gross, but people are voting for it because it sounds good. And so, like, liberal people, we're in a liberal state, they're voting for things without understanding, because here's the thing, I think, Thor, and I think we are a very segregated state. Where in New York, you're on the subway, you're a billionaire hedge fund manager next to a homeless dude with a jar of pee. When I taught in East LA, those kids, I had 16-year-old kids who never saw the beach. Okay. When I taught in like adjacent Beverly Hills, kids who drove through Inglewood or South LA quick with the windows up. They don't interact. So the people who are voting for this stuff, they don't know the plight of the farmers up outside of Bakersfield, or the kids in East LA, or things like that, or who are felons because they had some pot on them, so they can't even vote. Like, it's a real mess where we're not talking to fellow Californians. I think that's a real problem with this.
It's a huge problem. I mean, it's California is. I mean, I've been going, up north for a long time, and it's. People don't realize you go right outside of, you go to Kern County, you're going to see Trump flags flying and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And people don't realize that, they think that this is just a liberal state and it's liberal this, liberal that. And, I mean, it sucks because those are the people that are marginalized. I'm going to say it right now. I believe that, being a conservative is counterculture right now, and I think that's kind of what pushed me more, I've been getting pushed more far right is because I feel like anytime someone tries to shove something on me or push something on me or you know, make me believe something that I need to do my research and I end up finding it's not true, it does something to me, you know. And I've been seeing it just more and more, you know, especially in California, you know. People that I thought were really intelligent and with it, and you know, maybe had my best interest in mind, you know, you talk to them about these things and they don't even really know what it is, because it doesn't affect them, you know. It doesn't affect a lot of these people, you know. Like you said, like a lot of these people, you know, very intelligent, high IQ, whatever, but maybe didn't do what they wanted to in life, or you know, maybe they're not as successful as people that they like. How is this guy more successful? Maybe he worked harder than you, you know. You think about that.
Well, it's, you should, like, the anomalies, quote unquote, who get out of the hood, what we should do is not say that they are anomalies or they're just a fluke. They should go, what did they do? What did they do to get out? Look, I have my issues with conservatives when it comes to like Charlie Kirk, the Turning Point crew. I'm not a huge fan of Donald Trump as a human being. Like, I go after conservatives a lot too, and I have issues with them, but there has to be a balance. And that's what I think. California has lost the balance. It's the two wings of the same bird, right? It's the yin and yang. It's all of Jonathan Haidt's stuff about moral foundations. I think that if you had someone come in who was more center right in California, I think that you get all of those people who felt, you know, just disenfranchised all throughout the state to vote. And if you could get someone in here, I think you could get California to flourish again. You get someone who's center right to come into California. I think run it more like Texas. I think California would be killing it. It would be so good. But
yeah, how about fiscally
conservative?
You know, fiscally conservative, and you can be, you know, morally leftist. You know, I don't think anyone would care. You know, nobody's trying to thump the Bible on you out here in California. But I mean, you know, come on. You know, like I look at a lot of, like you said, like I look at Trump. You know, for example, you know, he's this week he signed the deal with the UAE and Israel. I mean, it's a historic deal. I mean, the guy really should have the Nobel Peace Prize, you know. And then he goes out and then he starts talking about, was Kamala Harris really born here? Like, these are the things that bother me about conservatives. You know, it's like, you don't need to do that. You know, to beat Kamala Harris, all you got to do is just basically keep on playing on repeat about how she insinuated that Joe Biden was a racist because of his deals with segregationists and his opposing of busing, and then also how she believed his accusers. Right, that's all you need to do. But for some reason, like you have a lot of these people that they shoot themselves in the foot. And you know what? I mean, maybe some of these people are actually, like, I don't know, not the best people in the world. But I mean, as far as policy goes, it's a lot better than what we're getting from the left. And
have you heard?
You know,
have you heard Dr. Drew talking about the homeless issue? Like, Dr. Drew's a little screwy. He wasn't great about coronavirus in the beginning and stuff, but like he was
absolutely wrong with coronavirus. But yeah.
when he talks about homelessness, though, he's got it, because he said he knows that these, like you said, like these props were passed where essentially you couldn't get arrested for just possession of drugs, and you couldn't get arrested for like stealing anything under like whatever $600 or $900. So what that does is it makes a haven.
$900.
Yeah, like it makes a haven for addicts, because you know we have I have friends who have businesses, and people just like take a dump right in front of their business, and the cops are, I mean, it's a real homelessness is a real problem, because you might say like, oh well, again, we're segregated, that's a problem downtown, but no, now it's down here in Winnetka. And then it's pretty soon it's going to hop these gates and walls in Tarzana, and Beverly Hills, and with typhus or something like that. Like, there's going to be an outbreak, and it's bad.
It's already there, going back to it. So, I have these friends, law enforcement, told me, don't vote for these propositions, 47, 57, 80, 109. Don't do it. These things got passed, right? And I sat back. All of a sudden, I'm driving. You start hearing about what's going on in Skid Row. I'm like, damn, that sucks. Also, I'm driving on Ventura Boulevard and make a left on Corbin here in Tarzana, and someone's building a like a tent set up, and then another guy's with like plywood building a house under the overpass. And I'm like scratching my head like, what? And then the next thing you know, more and more and more and more and more homeless people. And then like it gets to the point where like, you know, my buddy at the gym, he put his shoes outside for a second. Someone stole his shoes. You know, I'm just seeing these crazy homeless people in the back. Like one guy's exposing his penis to the woman that's coming to work out. Then you go, then it goes from 2 tents, there's 20 tents. And now you can't even jog from north where I am to south of the boulevard, right? You know, back in the day, I used to skate those areas, right?
Sure,
but there's no safe way to traverse. We have Corbin, Winnetka, DeSoto. Those are all taken up by homeless encampments. They've completely taken both sidewalks, and there's tents on both sides. This is a very nice area. Ventura Boulevard, south of the Ventura, very nice. Okay, those people are all over. And you drive down it, right? I make my every day. I come from Thousand Oaks. I make a left off the freeway, and I look. I don't just drive through. I look at the people. They're all doing drugs. Every single time I go, I see one person smoking a glass pipe, but one person shooting up heroin, and I'm not exaggerating. This is what I see, right? It is a public health hazard. Yeah. These people are whacked out of their mind. They're crisscrossing across the, jaywalking. I mean, a freeway. It's a freeway. In the middle of the night, they get up, they walk, you get clipped by a car. But wear a mask, because that's dangerous, right? Wear a mask, do this, do that. Nobody has addressed this homeless thing because virtue, right? You can't, where are we going to put them? What are we going to, look, I don't care what you guys do. Let's just go back before you sign these stupid propositions. Let's just go back there, right? You know, it's absolutely insane. The gaslighting that happens from the left is unbelievable. And this is just making me so mad every day. You know, they talk about, you know, when I bring this up, oh, it's always like this. It hasn't always been like this. Not even 2 years ago was it like this. It hasn't always been like this. It's getting worse every single day. It's never been this bad. I love this place. I love this valley. I got Thor 818 on my license plate. Yeah. You know, I don't ever want to leave this place. I'm a huge fan of the valley and all the people that live in it. You know, I have my own charity that I do for the kids out here. You know, I make sure every year I do my mitzvah meals, and I take care of the San Fernando rescue mission right here. You know, like
that's why I wanted to bring you on. Yeah,
my bones are in this place. You know, and it makes me sick. It makes me so sad. You know, when I think about it, because and not just because of the problem. You know, because we can see the problem, we can identify the problem. We identify the problem. We know what the problem is, but instead of fixing the problem, it's gaslighting now. Oh, it's fine. This is fine. The guy, the room's on fire. He's drinking his coffee. This is fine, right? Well, then we have these. Why can't you just admit that it was a mistake? Why? Why can't you just admit that 47, 57, and 109 is a mistake? Why can't you say that public decency laws are a good thing? Why can't you say that maybe if a guy is peeing and shitting on the floor, you should do something about him? Look, jail is a deterrent. It is.
I know.
You got to throw people in those holding tanks. You got to open up. You got to get them off the street. You got to discipline. Like I'm sorry. It is what it is. You know, it's not. It's you can't just like. What are you going to send a social worker to each one of these people and hey, schizophrenic, crazy meth head? Do you think that maybe your upbringing has something to do with the fact that you're shitting right now on the floor? You know. No, look, there's a bunch of people that are just trying to live life, man. You know, we're trying to go to work. We're trying to raise our children properly. I don't want to have kids seeing this stuff. You know, it's insane. You know, there needs to be some kind of there needs to be some kind of return to normalcy. That's all I want to see. That's it. You know, you want to have I don't care what bathroom you use. Shit doesn't matter to me. You know, do whatever you want to do. But I mean, come on. The guy shitting in front of my business, I'm just gonna sit there like, no, bro, like, no.
It needs to get cleaned up. I mean, Giuliani did it in New York. New York in the 90s was terrible, and Giuliani came in and cleaned it up.
No one talks about that. Thank you. No one talks about Giuliani.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he cleaned it up, and everyone loved him. You know, I mean, in September 2001. I mean, he was like, you know, a god on earth. But what now? New York's it's falling. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and he lives in New York, a nice part of like the Upper East Side, like a Wall Street guy, and he was leaving, and everyone's leaving, and he's just said like it's gonna go bad for a little bit before it would come back. It's gonna cycle, and I wonder how bad is like LA gonna get? I mean, look, or even San Francisco, Nancy Pelosi's district. Like,
no,
what is going on here? Like, and yet people just don't care because it's the NIMBY thing. It's the not in my backyard thing. But even if it is in your backyard,
it is in your backyard. It is in your backyard.
It doesn't affect them though. Like if it affects you guys who are on the streets or who want to go out and stuff like that. But if you just move to you move a little bit more south, you move a little bit higher in the hills, you get a gate, and then you think that it's not a problem, but the balance is going to be off. Like, I mean, it's a mental health problem. It's an addiction problem. And yes, we have to clean it up somehow. But when people say like, well, have the government solve it, like the government doesn't have mental health professionals. You are a mental health professional. You choose to pursue that as a career, and then you get hired by the government. But the government doesn't just fix things. They don't fix roads. They hire a construction company to fix the roads. So if you want to fix homelessness, you got to get involved somehow, but people don't want to because it's a shitty job. I don't want to. Like, but that's the only way it's going to happen, or we have to support policies that do just lock them up. But at what point are we going to go, okay, like, I guess that's my question for you. What do you think? Like, at what point are we going to go, let me frame this back. Does it have to get really bad for us to turn back and go the other direction?
So I've been thinking about this for a while, and I mean, I would never do this, but I know how to cure the whole thing. You want to hear it?
Yes, let's do it. And then I want to start your bid for governor, but yeah.
So I just get an adorable puppy, right? Little newborn adorable puppy, and I find some depraved, crazy, psychotic homeless person, and I just like, here's $100. I want you to eat this puppy, and videotape it. And the guy fucking just starts going to town, and he's been on meth for 17 days straight. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
That would make a change, right? If because it's already happened. Look, there's a crazy homeless guy went and attacked an elderly person, cracked his head with a metal bar. A lady was jogging, she got stabbed. I mean, humans, no one gives a shit. Obviously, no one cares about it because a lot of these homeless, they are dangerous. They are dangerous. And let's not get it twisted. It's not, hey, I couldn't afford my rent homeless. That's not what I'm talking about, right? Like, those guys that are like, they sleep in their car and they get up and then they go to work and they come back. That's a rent problem. Yeah. No, there's a lot of people, okay, that are basically on a vacation right now and they're just doing drugs. Maybe they came here because they thought they were going to be the next Brad Pitt and they just got hooked on crack or whatever happened to them and they completely flipped their lid. Because what happens when you do a lot of meth and stuff is you turn psychotic. It happens, right? I'm sorry. It is what it is. And so they get crazy. And now you see them walking around talking to whoever, John Lennon's ghost, I don't know. And they attack people. I've had guys run up to me trying to I'm a professional MMA fighter. The guy wanted to swing on me. I couldn't believe it. Then he realized the mail was a little too big and then he went to go prey on someone else. But this is what we got going on right now. So the only way
you can't get guns. You can't carry a gun, but you can't carry a gun.
Yeah. I mean, luckily,
It's a mess on all levels.
All I'm saying is that maybe that will get people to care, when it happens, because there's always a flash. People don't care about data. They don't care about statistics. They care about flashpoint things, right? Like for what happened to George Floyd was terrible, but that's a flashpoint incident. Something happened, right? And people came to their feet. They don't even look at the statistics of what really happens with, how many police interactions per year do not result in the death of, but I digress. But what I'm trying to say is that, we need something to happen to really wake people up. So there's something will always happen to you that changes the course of where you go or leads to where you end up. And I think maybe, you get some psychotic person eating a puppy is the only way that a lot of these woke people, I don't know, because people are dying. I mean, it's true. They're overdosing. They're dying on the street. They're being attacked. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, and it is sad, but I think, whether it's eating a puppy or not, I did a video on my Instagram about how art is needed right now. We need to connect with people. We need for people to really care enough to look into what these props are actually, care enough to roll up their sleeves and get dirty to try and pitch in to try and help this. And yeah, I hope it doesn't, but it might. Like maybe George Floyd had to die for police reform that we can easily do. Demilitarize a little bit, de-escalation drills.
Yeah.
A lot of things we can do to fix the police. Maybe
a lot of good things can
he
come
needed to die for that. And that's horribly sad, but maybe. But if we don't listen to George Floyd, that's a very valid point for a lot of like Black Lives Matter. Is like, you didn't listen with Eric Garner, you didn't listen with Philandro Castile, you didn't listen with Sandra Bland. So when you better start listening. You know, and I don't even know if it was necessarily a race issue, but it's definitely a police issue.
No, it's a police issue. You know, that's the thing. It was a police issue. Look, if you look at the statistics, there's a lot of good officers out there. I mean, the majority are good. But like what I said, it's a flashpoint thing. You know, that was a horrific thing. We all saw it. We got woken up. We were okay. You know, same thing with this crisis. You know, I mean, like it's just nobody freaking cares. You know, like something serious needs to happen. So you asked me how bad it needs to change, how bad it needs to get before there's change. That's it. You know, there needs to be something that you watch that's just so unbelievably horrific that you're like, okay, you know, maybe we should start, you know, throwing some of these.
Or someone,
jail,
you know, the perfect victim happens where someone who is really cute or you know, it's almost like Rosa Parks was kind of chosen by the NAACP. There was I forget her name now. There was like a teenage girl a couple of months earlier who like didn't get up from her bus seat. She's like, I'm not moving to the back of the bus. No way. And then NAACP was like, nah, she's a rebellious teenager. She doesn't fit. Rosa Parks was like the perfect victim of this, you know, bad policy of segregation.
It's gotta be a puppy, bro. It's already happened, man. I mean, like, there's a video of an old man just walking, minding his business. Someone cracks him, no one cares. I mean, like, they don't care about humans, man. I think, like, look at John Wick. John Wick touched everybody because someone fucked with a dog. You know, it's just like I don't think I don't know what it is that people don't care about people right now. It's kind of sad. And
what do you think for the November? Are you? I'm worried that no matter what happens in November, it's going to be contested. It's going to be controversial. It's going to be, you know, unjust. Trump loses. All of his people who are hardcore, well-armed people never gave our president a chance from the get-go. You've been trying to get him out, and now you manipulated the postal service and stuff to get him out. They're going to be pissed. Trump wins. Everyone on the left says, I can't believe it. He corrupted this. He stopped people from voting. He's killing people, all this kind of stuff. And they're going to be furious. And that's going to burn everything down. Like, I'm worried about November. I don't know if I'm too close to it or what. What do you think? And I know it's a little outside of California, but I think what happens in this country is going to affect California.
It's fine. I mean, so me, I'm really focused on local politics right now. You know, like what happens in the White House. I mean, I'm a fan of Trump. I'm not going to lie. You know, I don't want the world to turn into California. I don't want the country to turn into California. But, you know, I look at it like this. Like I said earlier, maybe a little foreshadowing. I'm really, really happy they picked Kamala Harris. And then you have Joe Biden. Maybe by this happening, they'll look kind of more inside and be like, maybe I'm not that virtuous. Maybe we're not that different between Trump and myself. I mean, like, the policies aren't that different, you know? I mean, at least Trump, you know, he's new to this kind of game. These people have been incarcerating people. They've been marginalizing people. They've been signing dog shit legislation for I don't know how many years, you know? So you're basically drinking Coke, mad at me because I like Pepsi better. I mean, it's the same shit.
Agree, 100%.
You know? So hopefully that might bring people together a little bit. So my whole thing about it is this. I used to think, if Biden wins, the good thing is we'll be like, I feel like the country's going to even go more into a spiral. And then I can say, hey, look, it wasn't all Trump's fault. Look at this, you know. And then they'll be like, oh, you're right. You know, maybe we need to, you know, make some reforms and not be so far left. That's not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is Biden's going to get elected. You know, all of that good work that Trump did, raising the economy, boosting the economy, it's all going to be for nothing. And the media is going to do fluff pieces about Joe Biden's cat and all this stuff. And then when conservatives, you know, hey, what about this fire over here? They're going to say you're crazy. They're going to gaslight us like they've always been doing. They're just going to continue to gaslight us. And it's going to be really frustrating. You know, if Trump doesn't win, it's going to be very frustrating 4 years. As far as the well-armed, you know, right-wing people that are going to stand, that doesn't exist. Okay. Obama, 2 terms. Nobody did anything. Okay. No one cares that this right-wing boogeyman that they're trying to push on people, the Boogaloo boys, they're wearing a Hawaiian shirt means I got like 18 AR-15s and I'm going to go shoot up. That doesn't exist. Okay. Another Flashpoint incident. You have some crazy person do a shooting somewhere. Now, all of a sudden, everybody that has an AR-15 is like, no. Okay. That guy is not under your bed. Nothing is going to happen. If Biden gets elected, the economy is going to suck. That's all it is. And it's going to be like one step closer to socialism.
You think Trump will just be like, okay, I lost fair and square, I'm out?
Of course. Why wouldn't he? I mean, you know, I wish you look, there's a lot of ramifications that can happen from a look, in my opinion, sorry, this is foul language, but Joe Biden is a cuck. Okay. He is basically just tofu. You sprinkle whatever you want on it. And he's going to be
the DNC puppet. Yeah.
He's a puppet. I mean, someone has his arm up his ass. You know, he's basically, it's going to be very far left values. You know, they want to get rid of the filibuster. They want to get rid of the electoral college, and we're going to have mob democracy. Kind of like what you imagine being a right-wing Californian. That's what it's going to be like being a person living in Texas. You know, you're just going to have to go along with these super left-wing policies, I think. And it's going to be, at least it's going to be maybe not in my generation, but it's going to be kind of a step in that direction, you know, and that's what I don't want to see the country go there. So that's why I'm going to vote for Trump. Hopefully we can, you know, keep that from happening, but it seems like that's the trend.
To close up, because we're doing an hour here at Thor, like what's stopping you from getting into politics? The reason I asked that is one of my favorite memes, I think it's very applicable right now with America and California, is the whole thing of good times make weak men make bad times make strong men make good times make weak men. And it seems like that's a cycle that we're in. And when I say it has to get bad, it's going to take someone very strong to get us out of a bad spot. But things are so, like, you're not going to worry about where your pronouns are if you haven't eaten in 4 days.
Oh yeah.
Like, that's just the reality. But things are so, we're in COVID, we're in a pandemic, and people are not starving to death. People are, like, it's still holding on. We're still staying on the rails. But if that falls off the rails, things could go bad fast. We need good leadership. What are your thoughts on politics?
You know, I'm not a fan of politics, so I wouldn't be a good politician. You know, I don't like politics.
You'd be good because you don't.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, that's just not where my heart is in just get rid of the regulations. I just act locally. You know, I'm going to do things. You know, I'm not going to go do red tape to go clean up my street. I'm going to do it with my own 2 hands. You know, I'm not going to go through a bunch of red tape to like raise money for a friend that needs it. I'm not going to go through red tape to go and donate to a cause that I believe in. You know?
But you could get stopped for doing that. That's my whole point, though, is when you don't, if I could have said that with the valet company, like, I'm just going to run my valet company, but no, because I could get in trouble. Like, I could get fined and arrested for just running a company. So
yeah.
So, like, I mean, eventually you're going to get limited on how much good you can do. And that's what really bothers me, because America should be a place where the freedom of speech is not you have the freedom to say terrible things, but you can't be limited to say good things. Like think about, like, flip it on its ear and not think about, like, what is the massive amount of good you can do with your life? And then if the government doesn't let you do massive good, that's something to fight against.
Yeah, man. It's just, you know, I don't understand a lot of these regulations. You know, I really don't. But I believe that everyone that gets into politics gets into it. Maybe a couple of them are getting into, you know, just, they like power, you know. But I think the majority of them want to make change. And you see that system beats people down, and it turns them into something that they probably don't recognize by the end, you know?
Yeah.
And,
Maybe.
you know, I don't want to be a victim of that, man. You know, I just, you know, I'm not smart enough for it either, bro. I mean, you know, I was a pretty good fighter. And, you know, I'll leave it for those really college educated guys, you know, that,
I think I think that might be the problem. I really do. And I'm not saying even necessarily for you not to put you pressure on you, but I think when you live in that elite world, you have a lot of blind spots, and those blind spots are leading us down this road that I think are really dangerous. Look at, you know, Newsome, you know, if you look at his background and stuff like that, it's not, he doesn't understand the streets of a place like LA. And it's not even his fault. He just has no clue what he's doing.
I really like Newsome, man. I really don't like the guy, dude. I just, you know, yeah, he's terrible. I'm sorry. That's, you know,
yeah,
that guy's, you know, you got words that trigger you, you know, like I think Newsome is my trigger. I don't like the guy. I really don't like, that BYD deal is just really kind of pushed me over the edge. Like he completely bypassed, you know, bipartisan leadership. I mean, like the local legislators were like, dude, like you're just going to go and send a bunch of money to China. You're not going to, like, you know, and everyone knows that's in any of these local industries know that BYD, they basically use the advantage they have from, you know, the Chinese labor. And then they come here and they underbid all of these local companies, and they do shoddy labor. And like everyone knew that this was not going to be a good thing when he did this deal, and he did it anyway. And I mean, he just basically spent $1 billion on faulty masks that don't pass any kind of, I mean, I don't like the guy. I'm sorry. You know, it's hard to, I mean, he's not my kind of guy.
Well, I hope that this podcast, people listen to it in 5 years and go, wow, they were upset over nothing. Things turned out great. Wouldn't that be great? Thor, where can people follow you, see what you're up to, and stuff like that? Because you've been an entertaining guy ever since I, you know, first met you, whatever, 10 years ago. You've always been such a showman and a fun guy to kind of, you know, follow and see what's up. And if someone disagrees with you or agrees with you, I know you'd be open to talk to them. So where can people find you, social media, what's your gym, stuff like that?
Yeah, so 101 Boxing Club, that's out in Newbury Park, California. That's my gym. You know, I have a partner that I run the gym with. She's completely opposite political spectrum as I. She's liberal, big time, hates Trump, you know, and we get along just fine. You know, we don't really talk politics too much with each other, but I mean, like, we coexist.
Common goal.
Well. So, yeah, you want to be a member of my gym? Hey, if you don't like my politics, there's someone there for you, you know?
For sure.
As far as social media, Thor818 on Instagram, and then just follow Thor Skancke on Facebook. And, yeah, man, you know, I just hope everyone can find a common ground. You know, that's the only thing I'm looking forward to. I'd like there to be a little bit more civil discourse, you know, with the right and the left, you know, being called a bootlicker, being called a bigot, being called all kinds of stuff just because, you know, of your political affiliation. It's not cool, man. You know, you're not being woke. Let's stop that. Let's stop that, dude. And just, you know, just try to be a little bit more empathetic to people you don't like. You know, try that. That could be a nice, maybe exercise for people that are, you know, looking for something to do that might change their lives. You know, because we're all going through something.
Yeah, I love the Abraham Lincoln quote. He said something about, I forget who it was. He said, "I don't like that man. I need to know him better." So brilliant. Let's keep his statues up. All right. So Thor, thank you so much for doing this, man. It's good to catch up with you. And thank you guys for listening.
Thank you for having me on, brother.
All right.